is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I am your host, Olin, aka MMAnomaly, and with me, as usual, is the usual co-host, the co-host with the most. You know he's here to talk turkey to you. What up, Jive Turkey? How we doing?
Olin, my brother, great to see you. Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. God bless our freedoms.
America, and happy birthday, Captain America. Fun fact, I am a huge Marvel Comics fan. For those of you that don't know,
let's go. Now you know.
That's me. I'm that
now
guy.
You know.
And yeah, fun fact, little Marvel fun fact for you to start the episode off. July 4th is Captain America's birthday. The character.
Steve Rogers, our boy.
Steve Rogers. It's our boy. It's our boy Steve Rogers' birthday.
Oh, man.
With that being said, like Nano said, happy birthday, America. Happy
Let's
birthday,
go.
Steve Rogers, and happy 4th of July, folks. Thank you
Special
for
edition.
Thank
Special
you for being
edition.
here for the episode. It's a bit too quiet in here. Let's get some music going. And without further ado, guys, we are going to jump into this. We are going to be talking about a pretty wild episode that just happened tonight in
Let's
Ultimate
go.
Fighter. We are going to jump into that closer to the end of the show, just because I know like it streams on ESPN Plus as well. There are some people that are going to be getting off of work, watching it a little bit late. We like to give those folks time to catch up. So before that, we are going to do a run through of what we witnessed on this past Saturday at UFC Vegas 76. Honestly, just like I assumed it was probably going to end up being, one hell of a card. I thought that there were a lot of standouts, a lot of really nice finishes, and to be completely honest, there were quite a few people that made a name for themselves. Thank you, Miss Mary 616. Happy 4th. Let's go. So let's go ahead and jump right into that card. We'll start at the bottom, just like Drake, and before you know it, we'll be here.
Let's go.
Guram Kutateladze versus Elvis Brenner is who we're going to start off talking about. You want me to go ahead and cue it up for you?
Absolutely. I'll just give you the alley-oop here and just say 4th of July. We're going to start with some fireworks here. So let's go.
We are going to start with some fireworks. So what a back and forth bout. Brenner was just busted open, but in the end, he proved to be just too damn strong for Guram Kutateladze as he got the finish, turning the tides late in round 3. It was about 3 minutes and 17 seconds in. I mean, honestly, beautiful back and forth. This is what MMA is all about. You see guys that are just going at it. Honestly, I thought Elvis was going to lose that fight halfway through it. I thought Guram was doing everything he needed to do to stay ahead. But I'll be damned, man. He just turned it on him in that third round. And honestly, towards the end of the second round, too, you could tell he was kind of starting to feel himself a little bit. Curious to hear what you think should be, or kind of what you thought of that fight.
Oh, let me get off mute here. Sorry about that. Yeah, brother, this was a fun one, man. A lot of fireworks. Like you said, this was a viewer's dream. This was a mixed martial arts fan, a striking fan's perfect freaking matchup, man. I swear. Both of them were showing some unique strikes, some heavy strikes, wearing it, showing their toughness, showing their variety. It felt like Kutateladze, although, it's interesting. I felt like he was stealing the rounds at the end. They both are exchanging. They both had their highlights. If I was a judge, man, that was hardest job in the world that night. I swear, man, they were really making it hard for them. Very fun rounds, big strikes. But it did feel like I'm just going to call him Coots here for short. Our boy Coots was really finding his way to edge out the rounds. And overall, I felt like Brenner started to wear the shots better. He started to get that momentum maybe midway through that second round. And next thing you know, this guy with the Charles Oliveira beach blonde hair, even the bleach blonde goatee, you don't see that too often. I must admit, that was a little bit of a delight. I'm like, okay, this guy means business. You double down on that. And but man, the striking, the durability, and the way to put him out, man, it was fantastic. I loved it.
My question now is, who do you think should be next for the winner of that fight, Elvis Brenner?
Ooh, $1 million question, brother. I mean, sky's the limit for this guy, right? I mean, he showed some great skills. I mean, now 16-3 record. I mean, coming from a Brazilian, background there, I don't know. I don't have anyone that's coming top of mind here. I don't know if you do, but I'm all ears, brother.
So, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Jordan Levitt. He was originally supposed to fight Jordan Levitt. And I mean, like, actually, sorry, Levitt was originally supposed to fight, Elvis Brenner. He was supposed to fight Elvis Brenner. And that fight ended up getting rescheduled. Oh, my volume is low. Give me one moment. Emiliano, take the floor.
Got you, brother. But yeah, like you're mentioning here, I think, diving into Brenner a little bit more. Great background, great pedigree. Was able to showcase a lot of his skills, able to control some of those exchanges. Guteladze was definitely, giving him a good run for his money, giving us a great show. But man, Elvis, man, was just a stud going throughout that fight. If we do kind of look at his track record here a little bit more.
Guteladze.
Here we go. He's back. Is
that better? Do we have a better testing 1 2? Testing 1 2.
Yes. There we go.
I think it had switched to the webcam mic. I don't know why it does that from time to time. So if that ever happens, please let me know. Thank you again in the chat for giving me the heads up on that. We should be firing on all cylinders now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fight fans of all ages. So yeah, I mean, Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King, the king of mischief himself, the guy that everybody seems to think is gay, but he has a wife, and I think he has a kid. But that guy, I think it should be the person that fights him. He, I think, dodged a bullet here coming in against Elvis Brenner, or rather not coming in against Elvis Brenner. And I personally think that Guram Guteladze was a slightly tougher match than the Monkey King himself. But that being said, man, I got to be honest with you. I think Elvis Brenner probably smokes Jordan Levitt, and I'm a Jordan Levitt fan.
He showed a lot of great skills. He showed a lot of durability there. He showed different ways to be able to win the fight, to get into a favorable position. And he looked scary. I mean, he looked like someone that was trying to take his head off out there. It's like he was getting a little bit stronger. Each time he got hit, right? I can do this all day, to reference our boy, Mr. Stevie Rogers over here, man. I mean, it was a great performance. You just felt like he wasn't going anywhere. He was getting better as the fight went on. It was impressive. It's scary.
It did feel like a Key and Peele skit where like they're slapping each other. He's like, I'm getting stronger. No, you're not getting stronger when I hit you. No, I am getting stronger.
I don't even feel it.
Yeah. I don't even feel it. That's what it felt like. It truly did. I think Elvis Brenner is going to be one of those guys that is truly just going to end up being a name that we remember. And if he keeps fighting like that, it's going to be hard not to pay attention to those fights moving forward, my friend. Speaking of fights that it's hard not to pay attention to, this next one we won't dwell on too much. Not too much time to spend on this one, so to say. But Joe Anderson Brito versus Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson is a fun name. Such a fun name. I had to say it twice, you guys. Weston Wilson. My God. I had to say it a third time. I had to point this out. That this is what happens when you go all in on a submission, even when it's obviously not working and not going to work. Weston Wilson, I'll say it a fourth time, he had a heel hook in on Joe Anderson Brito, and it looked really nice. He was in deep on a heel hook. He was starting to crank. Zero reaction from Joe Anderson Brito. Zero reaction whatsoever. If somebody's not reacting, I mean, I get poker faces, but this was no poker face, folks. Like it wasn't affecting him. I don't know if he's like double jointed or maybe it looked deeper than it was, but you got to pump the brakes on that. If it's not working, you let go. You figure something out. You switch to a different position. Hinato Laranja, 8-time world champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's actually an actor, but he's amazing. He pretends to be a jiu-jitsu guy. He's done stuff with Joe Rogan. If you don't know Hinato Laranja, please look him up at some point. He's hilarious. But he always says, position over submission. You know what I'm saying? So got to think about the position over the submission, and that was just not the case for what Weston Wilson was doing. And what happened? Man, Joe Anderson Brito decided to just roll over and ground and pound Mr. Wilson into oblivion.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, this guy, He looked really good out there, looked sharp, looked to be the stronger guy. Tend to be throwing from the hip there. I thought that was interesting. But man, the hands were on display. They were heavy. He was throwing with some purpose out there. But yeah, like I said, had no problem getting inside, putting himself into favorable positions. And unfortunately, Mr. Wilson, man, typically Mr. Wilson has a way to find his way to, get his angle or has, a trump card of some sort. But no, Mr. Wilson just was outnumbered this time, man. So Brito looks solid.
Nothing for him. Gotta shout out Authentic Z, the homie in the
Let's
chat.
Go. What's up, brother?
He says McGregor loses yet again, another 31 bout. Could it be that he's a terrible trainer, or is he just teaching an old way of fighting? This is not 2012 anymore. The game's evolved. What's going on? Z, I'll tell you, man, we are going to get into that. I want to give some of the folks a chance to finish watching the episode. Cat's out of the bag with that comment, though. Looks like he lost another one. If you saw the leaks, you already know that he lost another one probably about 6 or 7 days ago. But we are definitely going to break down that whole episode and that fight and exactly what is going on, as you so eloquently put it. Moving into the next fight from UFC Vegas 76. This next one hurt. This next one was tough. It was Kevin Lee coming in against Hinat Fakhretdinov. My goodness, brother, don't ever apologize. We love you. So Hinat Fakhretdinov coming in against Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee came back to the UFC and to a rough night at the office and a major mismatch. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, Nano, but I do want to just start by saying shame on you, UFC matchmakers. Shame on you. This was a crazy mismatch. This should not have been his welcome back party to the UFC. And just, come on, what were we thinking here?
What are we doing? Yeah, what are we doing? Are we just lining him up in front of the executioner? Are we just putting him on death row? What is going on here? I agree. I love that segue to start off. Cheers to everybody. Yeah, I do. Hey, Renat the Gladiator. You don't earn that name by some freaking mishap. That was earned. This guy was absolutely untouchable in there that night. He probably could have beat most people if they were to step in there. I mean, this guy looked sharp. He looked motivated. And it's interesting to think with just 1 year apart between those two guys, Renat comes in with a great record, has some good stops, has showcased a good skill set. But we're all thinking, and again, I don't know if this is the old generation in us or just assuming someone like Kevin Lee, who's been in there with some of the best. He's lost to some of the best, but that knockout on Trevor Gillespie, that sits in everyone's brain. Going and fighting Diego Sanchez in Eagle FC, which, okay, you can make an argument. Diego's not in the same caliber. He's kind of on his way out. Someone like Renat is through the roof to the moon. This guy is on from another planet. But overall, his striking was impressive. He was had such a way of getting to his marks much quicker, much more efficiently. And I mean, you saw when he actually put some solid leather on Kevin Lee. I mean, he just absolutely put him into a blender, put him into a different freaking universe. It was tough to see. If I'm being honest, I didn't love seeing it, but I almost expected it. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and maybe even what's next for these two fighters. Because like you said, I mean, that you feed them to the wolves. Maybe that's kind of a marker. Maybe they're kind of gauging where's Kevin Lee at. Okay, he's not at this top tier. He's not going to be one of the next guys we're going to pump up. Obviously, we're not earning that title. Are you not entertained? But maybe you give Kevin Lee another big name, or you make it a fun fight. You put him on a card to fill it up. I'm curious to hear your thoughts or not. I mean, man, who's going to want that fight? He might fall into that Islam, that Khabib, that Benil Dariush kind of umbrella where no one's going to want to say yes to those fights. Supposedly calms out other people, right? They like to claim that no one's accepting these fights. But Renat's one of those guys. I don't know if I'm going to sign up for that one. Curious to hear your thoughts, brother.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. There's not a whole lot to gain from fighting a Hinat Fakhretdinov right now. Like, he doesn't have a huge fan following. He doesn't have a huge name, but he's got a huge arsenal of ways to take you out and beat you in a fight. I do think he ends up falling into that same umbrella as Islam, as Khabib, as those guys. You're kind of top tier fighters that just nobody really wants to fight. Authentic Z Gaming threw up in the chat, loss of words for Motown's comeback. I know some would say it's respectable, but what were they thinking? 1000% agree. I just can't agree more with those words, with that sentiment. But if we're talking Transformers here, big nerd moment, if I'm a Transformer, I'm such an optimist, I'd be Optimus Prime, okay? So we're going to come in here with a little bit of an optimistic approach. And you know, I mean, obviously this one was a tough one to watch. And an even tougher pill to swallow if you're a Kevin Lee loyalist, like our homie Matt from the MMA chat always says he is. However, I am here to paint a pretty picture for you folks, and I am here to show you that there might actually be a light at the end of the tunnel here. Okay, there might be a light at the end of the tunnel for Kevin Lee. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. Okay, there's another fighter in the UFC that had a very up and down career, very similar to that of 30-year-old Kevin Lee. The fighter I'm talking about at one point was 10-7-1 in the UFC. 10-7-1 in the UFC. I mean, I don't know how good or bad you are at math here in the chat, folks, but that's not a winning number. That's not a great number. And that's definitely not the type of number of wins, losses, and draws or no contest that you would put next to someone that you would declare a UFC legend. I mean, is that fair? I think so. But
it's fair. But
what happened? That fighter eventually went on to not only become a UFC legend, he's currently still fighting, by the way, but he went on after that run to rack up an 11-fight win streak. And not just any division of the UFC, folks, in the lightweight division, the current killer's row of lightweights. Those names include Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier. Okay, we're talking about motherfucking Charlie Olives, Charles Oliveira. He started his UFC run at 10-7-1. Okay, so am I saying that Kevin Lee is going to become a welterweight champ or a lightweight champ if he cuts back down to lightweight? No, not by any means. But I do think that should he choose to continue in the sport of mixed martial arts, he can improve. He can fill in the holes that there currently are in his game that exist. The guy has killer instinct. We saw it in the Gregor Gillespie knockout. One of the nastiest, most guttural, instinctual knockouts you will see as an MMA fan. So I don't know that he becomes champion. I don't think that he becomes champion, but I do think that he can have a hell of a lot better and funner fights than the one that we saw on Saturday against Hinat Fakhratunov. That was a mismatch. It didn't make a whole lot of sense for him. I'd like to see him change up his camp, get somewhere new, find a team that's not going to tell him what he wants to hear, but tell him what he needs to hear. That being said, I don't know what's next for him. I'd like to see some kind of a legend matchup for him. But Hinat Fakhratunov, I mean, you got to match that guy up against somebody in the top 15 next. I'm thinking maybe if Josiah Harrell goes out there and somehow gets the upset over Jack Della Maddalena, you give Jack Della Maddalena versus Hinat Fakhratunov a go. God bless you, by the way. God bless you. On the 4th of July.
Oh, man, I think that allergy attack is confirming absolutely yes. That was what I was saying there in my sneezes. Heck freaking yes. Let's get
Eric in the chat, Optimist Prime. I think that's a Prime energy drink flavor.
Eric, let's go.
Having a bad day? Grab an Optimist Prime.
I drink that flavor. It doesn't sound too bad. But yeah, man, you're right. Hey, this welterweight division, all of a sudden, there's a lot of fun potential fights here that you can have, huh? There's some new contenders. There's those old names that we love. Jack Maddalena, like you said. Kevin Holland's always itching for a fight. I mean, man, Kevin Lee has a loss to Daniel Rodriguez. I mean, maybe you throw him another bone, see if he has something against a Renaud, and he can continue to take the names, take the skulls, as John Anik would say. There's a lot of fun ones. I don't know. Honestly, Kevin Holland's always game. I don't want to see him lose, although I'm okay with seeing him lose. I hate to say it that way because it's like, okay, I know he's not going to be the next champion, but love to see him fight some dogs. Maybe you throw him up against there. Unless he steps in. I know he was trying to get in there, right? He was trying to fight ASAP, but we'll see. I'm excited. Lot for
Authentic Z Gaming said, here's to Kevin Lee killing it in PFL if he doesn't evolve from here. Cheers. You know what? I'll cheers to that. I could see Kevin winning the $1 million in PFL if he went there.
I mean, he's talented as all hell. You know,
he's talented as all hell. And I'm not saying that they have a shallow welterweight division, but they have a welterweight division that Kevin Lee could compete in.
Yeah, he's got the good wrestling foundation. He's got the long reach. He's talented striking. Maybe the chin, maybe the confidence is not there as much, obviously. Let's be honest here, but I think he'd fare well. Win himself some money. But I don't know. I think he must have just signed some sort of multi-fight contract with the UFC. He just came back from Eagle FC, right? I mean, unless
can we
this
also
is
all
one and
admit
done.
that he just shouldn't fight at welterweight? Like,
he's just so big, his frame,
he's got a big frame, but he fights at lightweight. All of his wins are at lightweight.
That's the thing. I mean, and like you said earlier, man, it sucks.
Did he fight
his
Diego
losses.
at welterweight? I think maybe he fought Diego Sanchez at welterweight, and he's like, "Oh, I could do this at welterweight." But like, that's fucking Diego Sanchez after he was hanging upside down like a bat, letting his crazy kook of a coach punch him in the face. Like,
so was Daniel Rodriguez an initial lightweight, I guess, and he went up as well?
Wait, Kevin Lee fought D-Rod? Hold on, am I tripping right now?
Yeah. Fought D-Rod, fought Charles, fought Gregor. Lost to Ruff. Well, he lost to Daniel Rodriguez.
Okay, you know what?
Unless that's a different one.
No, this is exactly what I'm saying. So he fought Gregor Gillespie, got that KO, right? Then he fought Charles Oliveira, lost. Again, Charles Oliveira, guys. And then he went up in weight, lost to Daniel Rodriguez, went to Eagle FC, fought Diego Sanchez, got a win, and then came back to the UFC and fought Hinat Fakhretdinov at 170. He just shouldn't fight at 170.
Yeah.
He's a 155er. Oh, thanks, Eric. I appreciate you in the chat, brother. 165 is what he fought at Eagles FC.
I wish he'd be probably perfect for 165.
Oh, he'd be
There's
perfect
so many
for
of those
165.
guys. Yeah.
He's a
catch
big,
weight.
big frame 155er. You know who else would be a perfect 165er? Side thought, Dustin Poirier would murder folks.
You know what? And I mean, obviously it'd be a new weight class, but if you don't want to put too much bearing on it, maybe you just make that an unofficial catch weight, and you can just have two guys that are maybe tweeners that, Kevin Lee can find a good fight, a good matchup in lightweight or welterweight, I guess, right? And you catch at a 165. Or save a card or save a bout that, maybe is going to be a little off, or a last minute fight or whatever. Hey, catch weight. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I wish, man, that maybe one day. I mean, UFC usually listens to us, so maybe if we give enough of a momentum behind this, maybe they'll listen to us. That'd be fun.
To replace the BMF belt with 165 division. I love that. The only difference is the BMF belt makes them a lot of money from a demographic that usually isn't who they're trying to, apply to. The people that like WWE and stuff like that. And whereas 165 would just get more of us fucking degenerates that love UFC already to watch more UFC. Real quick, got a side topic here from Authentic Z Gaming. Can we talk about Russian domination in the UFC, though? Jesus. I mean, any man with Nav, Mav, or Dav at the end of their name is just dangerous. Shout out to them. Those Av guys are fucking terrifying. Let me tell you, from someone who has trained with them, sparred with them firsthand. I was training at AKA when all of those Russians came over and didn't speak English. And nicest people in the world. Like, they're the only people I know that will make you feel like a small child for an hour and then help you up. And, be very, very gentle and kind after they just dominated you and were very rough with you. I just realized how terrible any of that could sound out of context.
Well, it's all within context here. It's an MMA podcast. I think we know the context we're talking about. No, I agree. I mean, unless you're Abus, most people are pretty much indestructible. So most of them, I agree. They're pretty much someone I would not want to cross.
Eric in the chat, I now identify as an Av. That's fucking amazing. So moving into the next fight, he actually does. He's got nice facial hair. Moving into the next fight, we got Bruno Hulk Ferreira coming in against Nursultan Ruziboev. Guys, here we go. I'm going to jump right into this one. I'm going to take the lead on this one, Nano. I'm going to let you finish it up and put the cherry on top for us. Bruno Ferreira, his nickname is Hulk, okay? And in his last fight against RoboCop, my God, he proved that if the Hulk fought RoboCop would be a tin can that got crushed. And that's just that. But what happened on Saturday night, he looked like the Hulk that we got in Infinity War and the Avengers Endgame. The Hulk when it was just Bruce Banner and the Hulk actually refused to come out and play. Nursultan Ruziboev, however, came out guns a-blazing and got the KO very quick. That young man caught the kick, landed a very simple strike, and then followed up accordingly to make an amazing UFC debut and cash in on a quick night at the office. The man needed 1 minute and 17 seconds to get it done over a dude who identifies as a Hulk. What were your thoughts on that, Nano?
Brother, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, honestly, there weren't much thoughts other than, wow. I mean, for somebody to be able to put out the Hulk like that, I mean, I thought, wow, his power must be impressive. I mean, it was such a short little kind of, punch to the face. But, man, he was able to use his size. He was able to withstand the Hulk. I mean, I know. And Bruno, I mean, hey, not a perfect fighter, obviously. We're talking about somebody here who has shown flashes and, took a short fight, beat the RoboCop, which, hey, man, this division, it's crazy. You never know. All these guys are big. They're strong. They're talented. They don't mess around. And Nursultan is somebody that, you look at him and this guy doesn't mess around. And honestly, I think something here, being 29 years old and having over 40 fights, there's got to be something to that. I think you got to look at it. It's not like he's declining. It's like, he's had a lot of professional fights. I don't care what his amateur record is. Dude has a lot of octagon experience. I'll take that. You got to almost lean that way every time.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that. And just like I threw up in the chat, like MMA math doesn't work. Okay. And I mean, we're jumping. I got to jump back. I got to jump back and backtrack real quick. I also threw this in the chat. Kevin Lee, I love Kevin Lee. I want to see, just like Chael Sonnen, where does Kevin Lee fit into all of this? Kevin Lee needs to switch gyms, I think. I would like to see him go to AKA. Bit of bias there. I know. Flame me in the chat. Don't care. If he doesn't go there, I'd like to see him go to Alpha Male or Team Alpha, I think they call themselves now, to be more gender appropriate, which is dope and fine. I think he could go in there and truly be an alpha person. I think he could really benefit from learning the old school alpha male overhand and the alpha male guillotine. I think both of those things would be absolutely incredible additions to his arsenal. And I think that's the type of thing that could have saved him in that Charles Oliveira fight a long time ago and quite a few of his other fights where he got wrestle-effed. So
I love that.
That being
I agree.
said, I mean, like, dude, come
especially
on.
with someone as talented as he can, you could throw every strike in the book. Like, go there where they have a lot of strikers that can do that. Yeah, come on now. He's freaky. He's a freak of nature. We've seen him put people out with his feet, spinning around. He's an athlete. His physique is something out of a comic book, and I'm rooting for him. I like you said, I think, we've touched on it a lot. Excited to see what's next for him, but hey, get into a good camp because we've seen it, and we will see in other fighters as well. It's like a change of camp, a change of scenery can make all the difference.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I was having this conversation literally with one of my baristas at my favorite coffee place here in San Diego. Literally last week, they just opened their 4th location. One of them is leaving to go to that location. And I was like, is it closer to you? Like, is it less of a commute? And he was like, no, it's actually 5 minutes further of a commute. But I'm excited about it. And like, he chose that he wanted to go to the new location. And I was like, why? And he said, well, honestly, a new location is going to make me feel like alive. Like I love the work that I do, but I come into the same place every single day. Bro, sometimes just going and doing that thing that you love to do at a new place can make you love it again and reignite that flame for you. So taking something that he's already doing very well and taking what made me fall in love. And again, I had this conversation on the beach today, which is fun fact why I'm so fucking red. I had this conversation on the beach just like a handful of hours ago with my brother-in-law. And what I was saying is, dude, like the best thing for me about MMA, especially when I first started training, and even today, the reason I love it so much is it's the only thing I've ever discovered in my entire life where I could go into a place, whether it be for an hour or 3 hours, and I can go in there for 1 hour and walk out feeling like a better person and like a stronger person and like a person that knows more than the guy that walked in there an hour prior. And I can't honestly tell you that there's that many other places in like the world that exist that give you that kind of payoff, that kind of reward. And when you're a Kevin Lee, like, again, I'm the schmo in this situation, right? Like I trained for like 6 years and like in a gym, and I've trained for years like outside for fun, but I would never by any means say that I compare at all to these professionals, but I get the sense that some of them get in the fact that I have trained. I do know some techniques. I do understand different things, but for Kevin Lee, I got to imagine as a pro, once you plateau, like, what are you doing? You're going to the same gym for 10, 20 years. Like, bro, what are you learning? Unless the coaches are siphoning in new coaches and they're bringing in other masters from around the world, you are plateauing and you're not going to learn anymore. And then that's when you end up getting these losing streaks and you get beat by people that, if I'm being completely honest, you should beat. I'm not saying he should have beat Hinat because that was fucking stupid. He was never going to beat Hinat. I knew that. I said that going into this fight. It's why I was dreading this fight. But I just really think he'd benefit a lot from changing to a new camp.
I agree, brother. Change is good. Sometimes continue is good.
Speaking of change, we're going to change into the next fight. We got Ariane Lipski coming in against Melissa Gato. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm pretty sure Gato means cat in Spanish. Fun fact. This one was maybe a little bit debatable. Let's be honest, guys. For all you Twitter warriors on there, I saw some mixed opinions. I think maybe some folks got their parlays busted and were upset. That's okay. I had my money on Ariane Lipski anyways, and she brought it on home. I honestly thought that the judges did a good job in this one. I agree. I'm okay with it being a split decision win. I would have been okay with it being a unanimous decision win. I thought she did the more damage throughout the fight, and I honestly thought that she was just a slight step ahead of her opponent throughout the entire fight.
100% agree with that. Don't need to necessarily harp too much on it. I know, like you said, Twitter warriors might cancel us, but hey, you know what? It's not just about the scorecard. And again, like you can't always grant the busier fighter to get the win automatically, right? Yeah, you can be throwing more stuff, but hey, how much impact are we talking here? Who is showing like kind of even like the dominance, whether it's just the octagon control or just winning those exchanges? And yeah, I can jab you 3 times, but if you hit me once and I wobble a little bit, in terms of new scoring and even just watching a fight, you're winning that exchange. I can jab you 3 times. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we talking about? I agree with you, brother. Come
on. And I mean, again, we won't dwell on this one too much, but I will say, like, what's next for Ariane, right? Like, it's a pretty shallow division that she's in. I don't want to say it's easy to break into the top 15, but it is much easier in the women's flyweight division to break into the top 15 than it is in even the men's flyweight division, which was almost canceled a couple years back. That being said, who is next for Ariane Lipski? I think it should be a battle of the beauties. Tracy Cortez is just right there on the cusp, like right inside of the top 15. I think those two would match up really well against each other. I think it'd be a great test of kind of where Ariane Lipski's at. Is she ready to be a contender? If not, I'm down for her to go back to KSW and put on really exciting fights over in Russia. But I think that'd be a really fun fight that would deliver for the fans, her versus Tracy Cortez.
I love that. Tracy Cortez was making some news recently, for better or for worse. So maybe somebody worth getting back in there now that there's some buzz around her. In terms of her skills, I don't know how impressive she is. Lipski, I think, might be able to handle her. Amanda Rivas is a fun one. You could definitely promote that. She just came off a loss. Maybe you tie them two together. It's a narrative there. It's a fun fight. I don't know, though. I mean, I'm excited to see what's next for Lipski. She definitely wowed me. Always been a fan, but hey, man, it's when you're talking to that level, it's tough, and it is timing, And curious to see what's. I don't know if the chat has anyone else that is a better fit, but I think those are definitely some solid names.
Absolutely. So Authentic Z Gaming said right retweet Jive. He agrees with what you're saying there about her making headlines elsewhere. She's apparently a fan of the Secret Juice. Eric threw in the chat, going back to what I was saying about MMA being able to make you feel like a better person every time you do it. He said, that's why I love riding my motorcycle. Same concept of always room to grow and improve your technique. I need to take it up a notch and start track days though. Dude, I love to hear that. I think that'd be super dope. And if you do it, all I ask, I'm going to ask you 2 things. 1, keep records. That way you can constantly make sure you're striving for improvement and finding out how to better improve. And 2, please fucking stay safe. I love you, brother. Uh, motorcycles scare the hell out of me. So moving forward, I mean, my guy, you mentioned excitement in that last one. You can't mention excitement without this next one. We had Max Griffin coming in against Michael Morales. We're not going to go over this one a ton. We talked about this coming in. I think I may have said the same thing I'm going to say right now. Max Griffin is tough as nails, but it just might be time to hang him up. Tough as nails, and he's got so much heart. Or you'll be hard pressed to find a fighter with more heart than this guy. Those are not great things to hear when you keep getting fed young, hungry dogs and you keep racking up losses. I hate to see it. I love Max Griffin. I keep wanting to call him Max Steel Griffin because the goddamn show, Max Steel. But Max Payne Griffin, also fantastic. Max Payne, chef's kiss of a game. I don't know if you ever played the original. Fucked up storyline. Fantastic gameplay.
Great nickname. Yep.
Great A game. Yeah. So, like, what were your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, man, like I said, I mean, Max Griffin, although you want to root for the Grizzle Vet name in the division, my first thought was, okay, Michael Morales, an Ecuadorian fighter that's fighting out of Mexico. I thought, man, this guy has a lot of me in him. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of my background here. A little Ecuadorian, a little Mexican in him. I like it. But he just looked strong and he looked angry, honestly. And a lot of it, like I said, man, you know, Max, just a step too slow. Just was throwing a lot of the same things. Yeah, very unproductive in terms of what he was trying to do. And usually you see the older guy and you think he's going to have a little bit more of that man strength. But no, this guy, Michael, was freaking strong. He was big. He, you know, was throwing kind of with his arms low a little bit. He was getting a little cocky throughout the fight. That was one of my big takeaways was, okay, he's honestly the showboating or I don't want to say showboating, but I think it was kind of a way to pump himself up, right? He
was puffing out his feathers and trying to make it look like and feel like maybe he wasn't losing the fight as much as quite as much as he actually was.
Yeah. And maybe that did kind of help him get over the hump. You know, I think some of his unique strikes, the flying knees, even though he kept cup checking them, seemed to be part of the differentiator. And when you're that big and when you can use your jab, establish that, stuff all those takedowns, yeah, someone like Max Griffin, I mean, you kind of make him one-dimensional. And, you know, eventually once he really started to pour it on him, it was, I mean, he didn't stand a chance. This guy, Michael, seems really special. Still has a lot of improvements to make, I feel like. But overall, man, I think Max can hang him up, honestly. Wouldn't be mad at that. He's over 35 years old. I think he's 36, 37. You know, this kid, Michael, he's 24, I think. So, you know, we're talking a 12, 13-year difference here. Yeah. Sky's the limit for this kid, though. I'd love to see him go get another big name. He looked good. I mean, but the cockiness, though, that's going to bite him in the butt. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it's going to bite him in the butt. It's definitely going to bite him in the butt. I can honestly tell you, though, like the like puffing your chest out in the middle of a fight, especially if like you get tagged and then you get cocky, which is typically like what I noticed from him. Like the few occasions he'd get tagged is when he would get arrogant. He'd be like, "All right, dude, fuck you. Like you hit me, big deal. You're an old man. You don't hurt me." I would do that in sparring when it would hurt. That's why we typically say like, when you see someone that's like, whatever, dude, like those are the shots that suck. If you get a leg kick and you point down like, oh, did you just kick my leg? Big deal. That leg kick sucked. And your leg is either like not doing what you want it to do, or it hurts really bad when you're making it do what you want it to do. So I do think it's going to cost him, especially if he's like being arrogant, being cocky in the moment like that and gets caught with a follow-up shot. Because if Max was actually throwing follow-up shots, the kid could have been in real trouble. Again, Authentic Z2 in the chat, spamming Max Payne Griffin is a painful Griffin to see. I 100% agree. Spamming the same moves, trying the same thing over and over again, and just failing, that's the definition of insanity. Or rather, trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. I threw some of the stats up in the chat. Griffin went 0-8 on takedowns, where his opponent went 1 for 1. When it comes to the striking differential, same thing. We had 36 significant strikes to 72, 39 overall strikes to 73. When Morales was landing
everything he was landing had power on it, had pepper on it. He was trying to hurt Max Griffin, whereas Max Griffin was trying to win a fight. And there's a difference there, truly. I agree with what you said about Morales. He looked mean. He looked hungry. He looked fucking jacked, man. The guy, like, USADA, test this young man. Dude was Jack City, bro. He was ready. Again, I thought it was a pretty fun fight, but I just don't know what's next for Michael Morales. He's still very young, still very wet behind the ears, as they say, for amateurs versus veterans. Definitely don't feed him to a top 15 yet. Maybe give him to like someone in the 20 to 30 region of that division, because it's a stacked division there at the UFC. Moving into this next fight, though, I mean, let's just be completely honest. This was the people's main event. The people's main event of the evening. Man. Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson. The people's main event. As predicted last week, if you watched the show, you had the great insider. You had the great insight here. Grant Dawson went in there and beat the brakes off of Damir Ismagulov. Curious to hear your thoughts on that one, but before we have you jump into it, Officer Drool Titan LLC, welcome to the channel. He just threw this up in the YouTube chat. Boxing has surpassed MMA/UFC back this year. I got to be completely honest with you here, Officer Drool. Again, appreciate you joining the channel here. Appreciate you watching and joining the chat. I don't think you could be more wrong when it comes to this topic. When your biggest stars are, you know, their biggest claim to fame is YouTube and hydration drinks, and your greatest of all time is fighting the grandson of a dead mobster and then having post-fight scuffles in the ring, I don't think that's so much as a sport surpassing anything as it is a circus getting more eyes on it.
It's tough. I mean, hey, Officer Drill, appreciate you, brother. Great to see you. I appreciate you spending the holiday with us. I would say this is the biggest year for boxing in quite some time. Most certainly. They have the most buzz. They have the most juice right now. And we're not just talking about prime, talking just strictly, you know, eyeballs, people, you know, part of maybe culture a little bit more. But come on, UFC, MMA, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here? I mean, it's levels, right? We could rub the numbers, as Dana would say. And aside from that, I mean, it's like, even you try to match up the biggest fight with one of our guys into boxing, and it's not as good as an MMA guy versus another MMA great. Let me just go ahead and say it. I mean, Tyson Fury versus Ngannou, that's not going to get as many eyeballs as Ngannou versus Sean Jones. Let's be honest. It's just not.
Just like I threw up in the chat, Officer Drool, I might agree with you after Spence
That's
versus
gonna be a
Crawford
fun fight.
actually happened.
That's a fun one. Maybe we'll break it down a little bit. No.
Maybe, no, dude, we'll definitely break it down. I've already got the boxing intro graphic set up.
There we go. We got the emotes for it. No.
Yeah, we'll definitely break it down. We'll definitely be ready. But let me tell you, man, like, I love boxing. I think boxing is fantastic. But oh my God, thank you. This is exactly what I was going to say. Boxing died after Fury Wilder. That was the greatest. That was peak. Okay, like, we already had that adrenaline dump after that, and then the only way they could have kept that momentum going is if they made the right fights and had Anthony Joshua fight Tyson Fury, and it just never came to fruition. And the biggest issue and the biggest beef that I have with boxing, other than the fucking standing 10 count, which is the reason people die, folks, is, let's just be honest. The biggest issue with boxing is the best haven't fought the best in many, many years. The closest thing to the best fighting the best that we've had was Fury Wilder. And then after that, we got Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. And that's because those two young men made it happen themselves. Authentic Z here threw in the chat, how fun would it be to see a regulated stand-up match with Jones and Ngannou? I think that would be a very, very fun match, but Ngannou would murder him in a regulated stand-up match. Jones needs his wrestling for that matchup. And I still think he'd have a hell of a night going in there against that wild man that is Ngannou. But
yeah, that'd be tough. I'd pay to see it, but
I'd pay to see it.
And his striking is fun. I mean, I guess if he could throw his elbows and everything else, I mean, John will figure a way out. If it's more of a boxing style, then yeah, that's not going to work well. But his kicks, everything else, I mean, he does he can get Ngannou. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to bet against my boy John. It's tough. I know you might say otherwise, but
I'll bet against John Jones every single
Whoa.
John Jones fight. Even if I know I'm going to lose money, betting against that guy. Big fan of betting against John Jones. One day it's going to hit. And, you know, even if I win a quarter of my losses on betting against John Jones, fuck, it'll feel great. So we're going to keep that ball rolling. We're going to keep riding that train until the wheels fall off, as the kids say. And we got to jump back into this, man. Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson. I'm going to make a joke in poor taste here. Grant Dawson beat that guy so bad, he may be able to hear now. Jesus Christ, bro. Like, it was so one-way traffic. And like I said last week that I thought Grant Dawson was that guy. But like I thought, there's a sliver of a chance that I could be wrong here again. But fuck if I was right, man.
yeah, I mean, he put on a clinic, brother. He put on a clinic. And, you know, we knew Damir was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but KGD, he came into play. He came to play.
Speaking of came to play, I came to play tonight too, my friend, and I have arguably one of the best what's next matchups of the MMAnomaly Show No Filter podcast so far.
Let's go. Lay it on us. Drum roll.
Grant Dawson versus Rafael Fiziev.
Oh, jeez. You're throwing him to that guy? What you said? Why not?
Bro, come on. He's like 3 slots from him.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
And Rafael's coming off. Dude, I literally put in my notes, and I forgot to say it out loud. I put in my notes, Grant Dawson has quietly grinded his way into the top 10.
Yeah, super quiet. I did not know he was in there. Ooh.
He's so good.
And he showed his dominance. He showed his abilities there.
And he made it look, it shouldn't have looked as easy as it did against somebody like Damir Ismagulov. Like Damir Ismagulov, he's not a champion, but we've seen tons of fighters that are not champions and never become champions that are absolute world breakers. And thank you, Eric, for the clutch moment here. He just threw this in the chat. He had, 95% control time? That's insane no matter how you chalk it up.
Agreed.
It's goat moves.
Yeah, it was going to be best. I mean, put it on him. Excited to see what's next. I mean, Rafael stylistically, you know, might drown in that same wrestling type of fight, but hey, man, styles make fights. He's earned his way up there. You got to figure it out. Let's see.
I think he beats Rafael, and if he continues to have that kind of wrestling onslaught, I think he beats the Justin Gaethjes of the world too.
That's tough, man. The striking's tough. I mean, we're talking top tier. Even Rafael, I mean, Fiziev is no joke. That guy's an animal.
Yeah.
If he gets through then yeah, we're talking different things, but I got to see it to believe first.
Okay, so if I know that you were like, you want to feed him to that guy? So if you don't want him to go to Rafael Fiziev, okay, I have another name that I did write down, okay? Now, this next one, I like the Fiziev fight better. I think that it is a better fight. But there are other options, and I think that other option is Mateus Camro.
That's a fun one. That's a rock meets
delight.
Another rock. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough fight. Let's go. It's a really good one.
Like that would be more like you and me would enjoy the fuck out of that fight. Like we'd be watching it drunk. Like, oh my God, did you see that scramble?
Look, they're just leveraging for position, like stalemated. Like, I'd be
like so 7 out of 10 fans watching would be like, stand them up. What's happening?
Mate, they're not busy. Yeah.
They're not fighting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this guy's burying his elbows in another grown man's face while he's on top of him. They're fighting. You just don't get it.
Fight for hand control. There's things going on here. Yeah, you just don't see it.
They're setting up what's going to happen in 45 seconds. So yeah, I think either of those fights would be really, really fun. Olin with some nuke offers right now. Man, Authentic Z in the chat. I appreciate you, brother. Moving into the actual main event, not the people's main event, the actual main event from Saturday, we had Sean Strickland coming in against Abis Cardio from Wish.com, Magomedov. I made that nickname up for him myself. Really hope it sticks. Cardiofromwish.com should stick for sure. You know what were your thoughts on this one, Nano? Because I'm just a bit confused as to how this was a main event.
Well, I mean, Sean Strickland, man. I mean, I guess he is must-see TV, you know, for better or for worse. And maybe they thought Abus was going to be able to come in there and prove a little bit more than he did. I think I felt that he fell a little flat. Try saying that 10 times quick. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, Sean Strickland is built different, man. This guy, his style, the way he was able to weather that initial storm. And at no point did he even see or feel, I'm assuming, but he really did not look threatened at all. And you could kind of tell by the way he just kept moving forward. You know, you would think after that Alex Pereira fight that he would, you know, have some sort of like internal trigger of, hey, you know, let me be careful here. Don't get in the firefight. But he did kind of say in his press conference, he was, you know, measuring him out at first, felt some of his shots early. But then once he realized that Avis was starting to fade a little bit, he thought, okay, that was it. I thought we were gonna, you know, I thought we were just getting started almost, right? Because this guy's used to going into some deep waters. I mean, he's faced some of the who's in the division, and he is someone that might be worth throwing into that contender, that title contention conversation. I hate to say it. It'd be a fun fight for Izzy, seeing them go back and forth. Izzy beat the shit out of him, but overall, Sean earned my respect. I mean, that kind of fighting style, I mean, it's crazy. It's so unorthodox. It's the Sean Strickland style. But he's so darn good, man. What do you think? What were your thoughts?
So, there's a lot to say about Mr. Sean Strickland here. I'll be completely honest with you. We have a couple things to throw up in the chat here. So, Eric said, that might be a positive way. That might be a positive of always sparring, consistently getting whipped so you dust off and keep going. That's a fact. It also constantly builds up your cardio. If you can spar all the time, you're probably going to have cardio to fight all the time. Authentic Z Gaming said, Strickland is my guy. As much as I love him, big question. Does his, in my opinion, one-dimension fighting style have a future championship behind it? I think it might. And the reason behind this is, okay, we've seen people that have a one-dimensional fighting style that they're very, very good at outperform somebody that has a vast and vivid fighting style of things that they're good at or great at, right? Because Bruce Lee said it best. I fear not the man that's trained 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that's trained one kick 10,000 times, right? Because that guy is going to kick a fucking hole through your chest. If I train a stepping side kick like Bruce Lee style, right? Since we're talking about Bruce Lee, if I train a stepping side kick 10,000 times, I don't care if you are Muhammad Ali. You have to stand to hit me with your hands. And I'm going to stepping side kick you into the fucking shadow realm. If I hit your body, you're falling down. If I hit your face, you're probably going to sleep, bro. So for somebody like Sean Strickland, right? He, aka Leon Edwards, great point in the chat, Authentic Z Gaming. The man is arguably one of the best kickboxers in the UFC. What happened? Kickboxer went out there and beat a wrestler. That's not supposed to happen. That's not the way that math works out. 2 + 2 = 4 in my book, but when Leon Edwards fights Kamaru Usman, it equals 22. Okay, you just put the two twos together and you figure the shit out. But that's the beauty of MMA, right? You can have someone that trains the right things to go against the right people. And the thing is, like, Sean Strickland loses to somebody like an Alex Pereira because that guy has one-shot power. Israel Adesanya does not have one-shot power. He's got pepper him up, break him down over time power. He can knock people out. He can finish you. But it's going to take him time, and he has to hit you with a number of shots in order to find that weak point and trigger that weakness in you, right? Sean Strickland's very different. He doesn't have one-shot power either, right? Alex Pereira has one-shot power. That's why he knocked out Sean Strickland. That's why he knocked out, or almost knocked out Israel Adesanya. Sean Strickland doesn't even want to knock you out. He wants to make you quit, which is what he was able to do over the Wish.com Magomedov that was in there against him on Saturday night. Not only did he get the finish, but like I said, he made his opponent quite visibly quit in there. Abus was tired after the first round. He was looking down. He was looking around. He was trying to get the hell out of that octagon and go party in the town. He was looking at the clock. He was looking everywhere but at his opponent's face because he did not want to be there. He looked defeated before the fight was over. That's a beautiful thing for Sean. Sean loves that moment. He likes seeing you break because he gets off. He's a freak, bro. He gets off on that. When he sees someone start to break, he's like, oh yeah, I'm starting to get a half chub right now. Like that's Sean Strickland, bro. And you could see it. Like, I'm surprised he didn't like get on the mic and be like, I'm fully erect right now, guys. Like Ricky Bobby.
I'm starting to get a boner in there. You see that? It's like, come on, this guy.
I don't know if you saw my cut movement, but man, when I hit him with that jab, I got excited.
Woo. For chub. Oh, that was fantastic. I love it. I agree.
So that brings me to my next point. Like, what's next for this guy? What is next for Sean Strickland? And it actually segues perfectly into what Authentic Z Gaming asked just a minute ago here in the chat. Does he deserve a title shot? No. But would it be fun? Yes. Would it be exciting as fuck with the buildup? Yes. Is there already fun tape for them to make a narrative out of them at another presser when they weren't even fighting each other? Yes. I'm here for it. Sign me up, as Connor says.
Sign me up. I love it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of the dance partners in that top tier of, middleweight fighters here are booked or
who else do we
maybe
have?
don't make sense. I mean, Paulo Costa, I guess. Vittori just fought. He lost to McKinnon, but will he even take that? It's tough, right? I mean,
It's tough.
maybe he's got
Very
to
tough.
wait. Maybe there's another top. Maybe let's see who's underneath him here. Brendan Allen. That'd be kind of fun. See if he can beat him, break the top 10 here. But there's really not a lot of names, huh?
You talking about Sean Strickland versus Brendan Allen? That'd be a rematch. That's one of two people that have been able to beat Brendan Allen in the last 4 years in the UFC.
I know Brendan Allen will call
I'm
for
here
that.
for
Sean
it. I
doesn't
know
care.
Brendan Allen's happy about it.
Sean doesn't care, but
Brendan will be like, yeah, give me that name back. I'm trying to get that win back.
I don't know how often they do that unless they really think Brendan's a guy, if they really like him, if Sean's willing to take it. But like you said, there's really not. Maybe Sean's looking at it now at this point, like, yeah, give me a title shot. But is he going to take that? I don't know.
I don't know if he's willing to be that guy that waits and sits on the sidelines to wait for a title shot, but I do think that if he was willing to, he could probably talk his way into getting one or kind of finagle his way into getting one.
Yeah.
Without further ado, guys, we've made it through UFC Vegas 76, and it is time for the last bit of the show to talk about The Ultimate Fighter 31. It's time for a little bit of tough talk, guys. A little bit of tough love
Let's
here on the
go.
MMAnomaly Show, no filter. Man, Lee Hammond
Tough.
versus the McGregor Shadow clone versus Kurt Hollabaugh, the Louisiana Slugger. The first note that I have for tonight's episode, I literally have, I would share my screen, but I don't want to spoiler the rest of all my notes. But the first note I have is coked out Connor is back.
My initial thought too, I thought, man, like he's definitely showing some more passion, but maybe that's the underlying but everything he was showing his boy Lee there was, yeah, just super animated, very fired up.
You gotta throw the uppercut. That's gonna take his head clean off. Clean off.
Take it clean off. Yeah, everything. It's like, okay, you're just yelling. It was funny. Very entertaining, very passionate, I will say.
Very, very entertaining, very passionate. Definitely.
You like playing Jack in the Box.
Yeah. And I feel like I'll get into this later, but I feel like he's given the same exact he's given the same exact advice to every fighter this season. Like, step back, pull, throw the rear uppercut. It's either step back, pull, throw the rear uppercut, or step back, pull, and throw the cross. Like,
Yeah, that is, huh? Everyone's throwing this backhand uppercut, and it's like, okay.
I don't know if Conor McGregor realizes it, but the pull and throw, I'm pretty sure, was invented back in the fucking 1800s in boxing. So that's not something new that he made. He's really good at it. He's really good at pulling people in, lulling people in. But you're not teaching these guys anything new. Watch them and give them customized advice the way that I do feel like Chandler does. One of the things that stood out to me was the way that Chandler's coaching every guy is very, very different. Just like I said, Conor McGregor basically comes in there, gives these guys the same exact advice as he gave the guy last week that didn't work. And what happens? It fails to work this week. Chandler gives guys different quotes, different like looks, different work, different techniques to drill. And one of the things that really stood out to me that he said to this guy this week is basically that, you're a grown man. He's not. And you're a grown man with grown man problems. He's not. Like, basically tell him, like, you're a grown man. You've been here and you need to get back. He's a young man. He's never been here. He's got time. Send him back home. You need this. And just the way that he motivates his people. I love it, dude. Like, it's honestly incredible to see the way that Michael Chandler operates. I was a bigger fan of Michael Chandler when he was a Bellator fighter. I haven't loved his run in the UFC, if I'm being completely candid with you. But seeing this season of Tough has made me tenfold more of a fan of Michael Chandler since his crossover into the UFC.
I love that. I mean, yeah, he's earning brownie points every time. I mean, seems like someone you'd want in your corner. Seems like just overall, all around, just a good dude. Has some good coaches in there. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, the only thing that stood out with me with Conor was how he was kind of mentioning, his weight distribution, or how you kind of, stand back, how you defend. I thought, okay, maybe he is teaching some good defensive skills, some little tricks here, but overall, it's night and day. Michael has a good way to connect with these vet fighters, and someone like Kurt, aka the Louisiana kid here, is definitely someone you want to root for. I mean, he has that motivation, and maybe that's the thing these rooks are missing, right? As talented as Lee Hammond is, and as maybe as good as he's had it. I mean, you're fine with Conor. I'd say privileged, but maybe you're taking it for granted, or maybe you just don't realize the talent that's out there. But someone like Kurt, someone that's been in the UFC multiple times, someone that stays ready like crawfish. I don't know if Olin noticed that during the fight card here, but there was some crawfish involved. And hey, if you're ready like crawfish, then that's how you know you got the motivation and you have the right coaching behind you. And even though, again, third time's a charm, even though you're 13, maybe 10 years older than your opponent, is that motivation, is that experience going to be what holds you over? And it ends up being the case every time here. Not typically in the UFC, which is what's interesting. Michael Morales versus Max Griffin is a good example of, you're going to typically want to take the younger dog when it comes to the UFC. But here in the Ultimate Fighter, these guys, man, someone like Kurt, they have the motivation. It's the first time I've ever seen a fighter literally walk into the octagon with a picture, take a post-fight pic, accept the victory with the picture. That was a beautiful moment. Super cool. I just never seen it. I'm like, wow, it's different, right? I mean, and if you have any sort of family or distant or relative or friends you could call family, it's like, what that feels like, or like, wow, okay, if you're doing it, I've just never seen it. It's like I've been watching UFC my whole life. I mean, it's crazy, but that means something.
It is a different situation than just UFC too, right? Like these guys are, it's kind of like the Real World or The Challenge or any other reality show where like they're stuck there for 6 to 8 weeks without talking to their family on a daily basis, like not being able to see their children, their wife. So, I mean, like this guy's doing this for his family, and that picture, like, again, just another thing that I'm not sure if that's something that was even wholeheartedly his idea, or Chandler was like, we're bringing your family with you tonight, kid. You got a picture of your family? Because that was a picture of them at his wedding.
That had to have been him. I've never seen a fighter do that. I mean, all season.
That's the thing. Like, I could imagine, like, if, and that's something that stands out to me because I'm watching every episode. I'm literally taking notes out the episode, right? Like, one of the things I'm trying to pay attention to is what are they doing that's different this week than last week? And one of the things I noticed consistently with Chandler is he's talking to each fighter and he's getting to know them. Like, hey, man, why are you here? Like, yeah, no, I know you're here to be a UFC fighter. Like, why are you here? And not everybody says, like, I'm here for my family. And this guy's like your cornbread fed Louisiana boy. Like, he's all about family.
Has his farm. Yeah. Everything.
He constantly talks about his son, Raiden, Thor. And like, he seems like a real, like, true family man. All American.
And super cool names, by the way. I mean, Raiden and Thor. Yeah. Jeez.
Raiden, Zayden, Braden.
Sick.
Yeah, like great names. But the way that Chandler's able to motivate his fighters, it's really special. And I thought that was a really, really nice moment of him in the octagon with the picture of his family. Before we jump into the fights and breaking down the fight itself, I got to say, Conor McGregor has worked with Lee Hammond as a training partner for some years before even coming into The Ultimate Fighter. They are boys. They are friends. Yet here we go again. Another Conor McGregor no-show at the weigh-ins. As Mary put it, the moment it happened, she literally like leans over from the kitchen and is like, this part isn't even hard. You just have to show up and be there for your team, and he can't even do that. Like, how are you not showing up to weigh-ins? It's like the third time this has happened. It's
like, are you actually doing some sort of business, or is this like, it's not a mental thing at this point. Now I'm just like, okay, you must literally not care. Maybe you have some other business to attend to, but regardless, that just doesn't make sense. It's not motivating. I mean, you're not willing to switch it up. Honestly, it just feels like he's not fully committed. I think maybe they're trying to hang on to him. Maybe he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We've kind of already known that, honestly. I say maybe just to try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I think they're just trying to save the show at this point and just hoping that he shows up to the finale. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. Honestly, I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stopped showing up for the last like 3 episodes of the season.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, he might just, if it's Chandler on Chandler, he might just stop showing up.
Yeah. I mean, and real quick, gonna just jump into the chats here. Miss Mary 616 just put in the chat, "Hey Olin, I know you're a fan of Ben the Bane Davis. He tweeted that Conor launched Michael. Do you agree?" Look, I'm not a Conor McGregor fan. If anything, I'm a Conor McGregor hater. I actually am the original creator of the Conor McGregor hater fan club. No, just kidding. But real talk, I'll call a spade a spade. He did launch Michael Chandler. That being said, Emiliano here is much bigger than me. He's probably got at least 20 pounds on me. I could launch him too if I put my hand in his face. He wasn't expecting me to launch him or push him, and he's not planted and ready for that to happen. It's essentially like a teep kick, right? Like if you don't know a teep kick's coming and I get you with a high center of gravity on it, especially if you're stepping forward or leaning in, like going face to face with me, yeah, you're going to go flying back. Yes. I agree with Ben the Bane Davis. Conor McGregor launched Michael, but it's the first time he's launched someone in about 10 years. And it's probably the last time he's going to launch someone too in a UFC octagon. So good for him for getting a win for the first time since the Obama administration was in office. Man. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a dick. Look, it's not mean if it's a fact.
That's true. That is, yeah, you can look it up. It's merely science. It's facts.
You can read about it in a book on the internet. It's real.
I know. And I mean, again, you're not showing up. I mean, yeah, you try to take your suit off. You try to look cool. Chandler was game, but Chandler had to have 2 guys pull him back. Dana comes running in there. Felt a little.
I thought Bader was going to murder somebody, dog.
I was hoping Chandler would get a little more fired up, like to come back, like, what's up? I don't know, something, but I think he knew. I mean, it's hard.
And I'm going to throw this chat up here one more time. Okay. Ben the Bane Davis, you are correct. Okay, you are correct, sir. Conor McGregor did launch Michael. But if me and you are drunk in a bar and I face palm you, I literally palm your face and launch you back, okay? And your response to that is not only laughing, but like maniacally laughing like Mark Hamill's Joker from the 90s Batman the Animated Series. I lost that exchange, dog. Because I hit you with a surprise shot and you laughed at me. You won. So Michael effectively won in that exchange. Even when Conor sneak attacks someone, he takes another L, folks. I take it back. He still has not gotten a W in there since the Obama administration. Or at least not over a lightweight.
Yeah, I guess he beat Cowboy within that time, but that's it.
But that doesn't even count. Cowboy was a movie star by then, folks.
Yeah, come on.
So, I mean, like, I agree with what Mary said. This part isn't even hard. You just have to show up for your team and be there. And he can't even do that. With that being said, let's get into the fight, folks. I think that this was fantastic. I think this was a really good fight. Not for Kurt Hellebuyck. It was a tough night at the office for him. So we're gonna break this one down round by round. Round 1, fight. Great first round for Bruce Lee Hammond. Bruce Lee is a fantastic nickname. If your name is Lee, like just throwing a Bruce in front, chef's kiss to that. Great work controlling the fight, sticking to Kurt Hollebach like glue is what I put on this. As soon as he got the opportunity to get on top, he was on top and he stayed on top. I'm pretty sure man had like 4 minutes and 30 seconds of control time in a 5-minute round, which is insane. What were your thoughts on the first round of the fight and how it played out? Did that play out how you thought it was going to, or kind of did anything take you by surprise?
I mean, I guess his ability to dominate, to have that kind of control over a seasoned vet. I mean, Lee Hammond had a lot of hype. Conor knew that. Well, I guess not that Conor knew, but his camp, obviously sees something in him, and having that Brazilian jiu-jitsu background. My notes were saying, or at least my note that I put on here was, hey, he's going to have that in his bag. How is his striking going to come out? I think maybe that's why Conor was trying to drill in what he thinks, how he looks at the striking game, because that's where he's trying to catch up. And luckily, he didn't have to display too much of it. I mean, he got a hold of him early and often. I mean, and he was able to maintain that control. Maybe he was playing with his food a little bit. I guess maybe you're hoping to see a little more offense, get your opponent into a compromised position, drop more elbows, put your hand in his face. Like, would have liked to have seen a little bit more aggression, maybe. It just felt like it was, hey, I got here, I'm good, now what? There was not a lot of, and that's where coaching comes in. That's where, you drill these things in, hammer fist, elbows, whatever. But you also got to kind of have that in you. So it just felt like playing with your feet a little bit too much. You got the control, that, and not to take away from it, but it's like you weren't making it a 10-8,
No, I mean, it was, yeah. Like, he wasn't making it a 10-8. Like you said, like, he had top position. He was in control. I honestly felt like, aside from that big elbow that he like charged up, it was kind of it wasn't even really like a rearing back elbow. It was more of like an actual, and again, chef's kiss moment for somebody on Conor McGregor's team, which is, I'm hard pressed to say. It was a post and throw elbow, which I love. I always tell people who are like new to the sport, like, these are the elbows that make sense, because you expend zero effort, zero energy, and you land hard. You heard the sound it made when he cracked that man's skull with his elbow. And that's ultimately like what really dominated the round for me for him. But again, no 10-8. It was a 10-9, solid round for Bruce Lee Hammond. And in between the rounds, again, you hear Conor McGregor saying things, but it's like very broad things. During the rounds, Conor McGregor's yelling, good, nice, yeah, perfect. Like he's just yelling those types of things. Whereas Michael Chandler throughout the round, he's yelling actual instructions to advance from position to position. And I'll get into that in the next round here in just a moment. But going into the second round, man, it was looking pretty bad for our guy here. I'll let you actually take the lead here on the second round, and I'll bring us home.
Yeah, I mean, not much more to say. I mean, again, he came out, did what he needed to do. Everything felt like it was going Lee Hammonds' way. But again, the same narrative, just you're playing with your food, you're not getting them out of there. And all it takes is one small mistake to a grizzled vet who's been in deep waters before, who's been exhausted, who's been in 8 minutes of a fight. And I think that's where it shows. That's where, that experience shows. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, though. I don't want to hear you break it down.
100%, man. I mean, like, same thing. So I mentioned kind of a segue into this, right? Like, it's interesting to hear the corner work, the coach work, Chandler giving instructions versus Conor just kind of being a yes man, so to speak, for his fighters. Like, yeah, good, great, etc. And then when something goes wrong, he goes silent, or he's like, oop, 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 oop. That's not telling them how to get oop. Okay, you're just telling them to get oop. It doesn't work that way. It's very hard to get oop if someone's trying to keep you down. So, that's not great coaching. That's just fucking, you're like, you just as well be me, like 8 Modelo's in at a goddamn fight night.
That's how he sounds. He probably blends in with the crowd. Yeah, there's 1,000 guys in the crowd. Get up, bro. Take his head off. Take his head off.
Yeah,
take his head off. Like, come on.
Lace your left leg behind his. Dig underhooks. Work for a whizzer. Use your back to crawl up the cage. Like, give me something. Literally fucking anything. But not like, oop, oop, oop. No, he's keeping me down, down, down. I can't get oop, oop, oop. So it doesn't work that way, bro. So, like, give me something. So what happened? We had Bruce Lee Hammond on top from the very beginning of the second round. Honestly, I felt like I was having deja vu, bro. I I was like, wow, did I already see this round? Or are they doing, what happened? What's happening? Are they showing the same round again? And then surely enough, there's a moment where Lee makes a mistake. He loses one of his hooks that are under his opponent, Kurt Hollabach's legs. And the second he is able to, you literally see this happen. You can go back and watch it, okay? His coach, Michael Chandler, Iron Mike, he yells, butterfly, escape. You just see those legs, butterfly right on the fuck up. And our guy gets the heck out of there. And then what happens? He instinctively sees that this guy gets taken down, or I mean, rather reversed, swept, if you will. The second he's swept, he puts his head up, straight up, exposing the neck. And Kurt's like, oh, I'm a veteran. I know what it looks like whenever there's just a neck for me to slice with my sword. So he puts what in jiu-jitsu they call the blade, just right there up against his Adam's apple. And what does his coach yell? Squeeze, keep squeezing. And folks of you that are watching that don't train, folks of you that are listening to the non-video version that don't train, let me tell you, it sounds dumb. It sounds silly. It's the equivalent to if Jeff Gordon is in his car and his coach says, by golly, push the gas. You got to go fast. Keep going fast, boy. Like, that's common knowledge. We're in a fucking race. Going fast is the point of the race. But it helps to hear. And when you're squeezing and your arm is already tired after fucking getting dominated for almost 2 whole rounds, hearing your coach yell, squeeze, squeeze, keep squeezing, that's what you need to be like, okay, I'm going to empty the fucking gas tank if that's what it takes. Or I'm going to take this guy's head home with me. If he doesn't tap, this head is my victory. It's coming home with me. I'm bringing it home to my son, Raiden, so we can do some lightning shit with it. Like, that's the kind of stuff you need, bro. You need some of those basic things, some of those rudimentary tips mixed in with actual step-by-step positioning guide, which is what Michael Chandler did this episode, last episode before.
Like clockwork, yeah. I mean, it's a landslide. That's the name of the game this season. And wishing to see more from Connor, but at the end of the day, seems like we're maybe going to see a little bit more of him, maybe letting out some frustration on some of his fighters, but I'm excited, man. I know we'll be diving in more.
We definitely got to talk about that. In the clip they showed, it looks like for a second time we see Conor McGregor injuring one of his fighters. Bro, these guys haven't even made it to the UFC, okay? Like, again, not to throw you under the bus, I love you, but like, you haven't trained, you haven't done Muay Thai. That would be like me saying, hey, bro, here's a mouth guard, put it in, let's go. And then me just fucking like throwing round kicks to your body, full force. You would genuinely never want to talk to me again.
I mean,
we wouldn't be friends after that. No, we wouldn't. No. Dude, I'm telling you, we wouldn't be friends after that. And I wouldn't blame you for hating me after that.
It's personal, man. It's tough.
If I blast you to the rib cage with round kicks, A, you're lucky if you don't have a broken rib, at least one after that.
Some sort of medical bill.
I'm lucky if I have a friend after that, bro. Like, that's just, those are two logical things.
It's tough. I feel that.
Honestly, bro, like, I don't understand what the fuck Connor's doing here. He's got to understand that he's not, he was chosen to be a coach. Being a coach doesn't mean that this show is about you.
I know. And it's, at the end of the day, it's like, it's been shown, there were maybe some glimpses early on, bringing in a Wonder Boy, having, Coach Kavanaugh, but it's tough. Hey, there you go.
Black Otto's here to give out receipts on who gets blasted with these body shots.
Someone's got to hold them accountable.
Next time we hang out, Arthur, I'm gonna have you hold a kick shield. We'll see if you think they would break ribs. So yeah, guys, fantastic episode of Tough this week. Honestly, a fantastic 4th of July. Real quick, before we take off, got to address the elephant in the room. I know I'm in a weird place here. No pictures in the background. Kind of cramped in a corner. Feeling like a small child here, trying to exit the womb. We blew a fuse. The whole office is without power. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I didn't want to leave my mate here, Turkey Nano, hanging. And it's America's birthday. We couldn't leave America hanging. So, we have, hold on. We actually have something here in the chat. It looks like, 1 second. So we actually have some breaking news in the chat. We were just about to wrap it up and call it a day. Have y'all seen that Logan Paul wants to fight Paddy the Baddy in the UFC? He wants to make his UFC debut, his MMA debut, and he wants to fight Paddy the Baddy. I'm here for it.
I mean,
Does Paddy actually go up to 185 though? Because I don't know how the hell Logan's going to cut down to 155.
It's too big of a discrepancy. I don't think that'll work.
Pretty sure Logan walks at 200.
Yeah. He was able to wrestle Adesanya, I think. And Paddy's not, I mean, I don't know. That's tough. That is fun, I guess. I mean,
on the Elon versus Zuck card, he wants to make his debut against Paddy the Baddy.
He's just trying to collect clicks.
Did you hear that Rome, the place, they're in communications with Zuck and Musk. And they're willing to let them fight at the old school Roman Colosseum where gladiators used to fight.
I did hear that. I don't know how the heck they do it. I guess maybe with drones to get the cameras. They're not going to let people fill it up, so there's no ticket sales. I guess maybe
honestly, I think if they're going to do it there, we got to do it old rules. You know, only one man leaves the arena alive.
Winner gets both companies, I guess, huh?
Absolutely. Or at the very least, like there should be some kind of dumb bet on it. You know, like if Musk wins, Zuckerberg has to change the Facebook logo to the Doge from Dogecoin. Or I don't know, some stupid shit.
Something, yeah. That can fill it up. I mean, all that's going to go to charity or something, I guess. All the
that's what Dana's trying to do. He's a smart guy trying to basically get the rights to it, sell some shirts on it, and say all the proceeds are going to charity. Genius marketing move by Dana. Again, I know I'm keeping Nano here. I'm taking time away from family. Nano, I'll let you get back to your life here. We love you. We appreciate you making the time today.
Fireworks time. Appreciate y'all.
Had to address that. Dude, oh man. This is the bad breaking news. Eric said also Jive will be with us in Vegas, right? We are going to be doing an episode tomorrow because I'm going to be in Vegas Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for International Fight Week. Eric's going to be there. Drew's going to be there. Jalen's going to be there. AKA Aso Akiro. You've seen him. We're going to be getting some fun content. But not the Jive. Jive will be there next year.
Sorry, brother.
But you know what? Next year,
absolutely.
We're going to feel it out and figure out the best path for when Jive is there next year, guys.
Absolutely.
Either way, we're going to be having
I'll be there in spirit.
We'll be having a blast at International Fight Week this week. Cannot wait. Random note, Gable Stevenson was handing out suplex after suplex on WWE NXT. I'll have to check that out. Gable Stevenson. I'm ready to see that guy in MMA. But again, I digress. I keep getting squirrel brained here. We have to jump. Nano, I know, is trying to get going here. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys and gals and folks of all shapes and sizes joining us. As always, keep the passion for mixed martial arts alive. We love and appreciate you all very, very much. And we will see you tomorrow.